Hey, what's going on? Jake at Chain Genius back with another episode. Today's crypto update is going to start by asking communities and projects at large to stop making announcements about announcements of pending announcements coming up later because it's not news and it's just running the hype machine. Omasay Go did this last year, taking pictures of a skateboard with the Apple logo or pictures at headquarters of Google that had nothing to do with any news that ever got released in Tron. Justin Sun, I'm talking to you. The announcement inception is just, it's not fun. Basically, someone here on Reddit's asking why it's a terrible coin. This is related to Tron. Not getting into whether it's a good or bad coin. Lots of FUD surrounding it. But the top response is, of course, I'm announcing today to let you know my answer will be tomorrow. And this is coming directly from a tweet Justin Sun made today talking about news to be released later this week, using a previous tweet talking about more news to be released later this week. It's just nonsense. So, going to talk about something a little more interesting, the crypto market at large. It's continuing to consolidate and move sideways, which is to be expected after such a heavy run from the beginning to end of December when we doubled market cap up to 800 billion. But there are a few things that I wanted to touch on. Of note, seems that NEO has finally passed Cardano in market cap. Huge news. I'm going to touch on them in just a moment. NANO continues to make a decent recovery after their ups and downs with the BitGrail news. So the first thing is, let's talk about NANO. Interestingly enough, Charlie Lee, the head of Litecoin, Cobley is his name, actually posted in the NANO subreddit a few hours ago and was asking about NANO. He said that he was someone he trusts that he was talking to in the space, recommended that he checked him out. And what's really interesting about this is I don't even take it as him hyping, shilling, fudding a coin. It seems that he just legitimately is interested in new technologies that could potentially help Litecoin stay competitive. So he asks a series of questions here, some of them a little more technical than you or I may understand. But what's nice about it is he states in some of his comments that so far he's interested in the tech. It seems that the developers have their heads screwed on right. And overall, he's intrigued, but he has questions about how they can claim the high scalability, decentralized nature, no fees, instant transactions, and where those trade-offs must be, because it sounds a little too good to be true, which is obviously the case, because blockchains generally can't solve everything in one go. They have to make trade-offs along the way. So I'll post a link to this in the comments. I'm really interested to see what some of the Nano devs have to say about that. The Weiss Ratings recently, there's a rumor going around. I have yet to see the official PDF report myself, so if anyone has that, I'd love to see a link of it. But NEO is officially the first project to break into the Weiss Ratings A tier. This was on coincentral.com. And that's really big news because the previous release that made the rounds, no one was above a B rating. And the 3 or 4 that were B ratings were all platform plays such as EOS, Cardano, NEO. So NEO's the first one, assuming this is true, to actually make it into the A ratings, which is huge because even though there's some issues with NEO, they've continued to deliver. They've moved forward of what a front-facing blockchain platform should be. I think they've done outstanding work. And, you know, there is, of course, the legitimacy of Weiss Ratings in general. They are a well-known name brand in the ratings industry. However, and I agree with this, some of their notes seem a little bit out of touch with the crypto market as a whole. That's probably because they're newer to the space than some of the other armchair investors like you or me in this area. But I will give them this. Trying to standardize ratings across the cryptocurrency industry is commendable. I know Ryan Selkis is trying to do this with a token curated registry, if you want to check out what those are. And Weiss is trying to do the same things, at least create some standard and what that should look like. On to big news of the day. Goldman Sachs has come out and labeled crypto as a business risk. And this is huge because as of the end of last week, Bank of America said the same thing. They were stating that their inability to adapt could be seen as a failure to compete with crypto. And it basically comes down to inability to adapt their products and services to an evolving industry standard, and consumer preference could harm their business, obviously. It's expensive to innovate. It's expensive to come up and test new products and validate new direction in the industry. And consumers are coming out and basically saying this is what we want. Millennials have stated they're more interested in blockchain than they are in stocks. But what makes the Goldman Sachs news so interesting is they are heavily invested as one of the main cap table members of Circle, which recently announced today that they are going to be buying Poloniex, Polo, which is one of the big exchanges that's kind of fallen out of limelight in the past couple of months. And that's most likely due to this case. So even though Goldman claims that cryptocurrencies and blockchain are going to be a competitor and cause a lot of potential issues down the road, it's interesting to see that Goldman is staying proactive in the space through their investment with Circle. Circle's buying Poloniex, which is one of the biggest US-based exchanges. Circle, of note, was the first to have the BIT license, which allows them to operate exchanges and Bitcoin service or blockchain services here in New York. It would probably help explain why Polo's been somewhat quiet the past couple of months, as they want to avoid any regulatory issues as they're going through this merger or this acquisition. Goldman already has a trading desk and a working group for crypto, so it stands to reason that they would use Circle to buy their way into the exchange space. And it wouldn't be really surprising. I was talking with one of my constituents in the space that it's probably just going to be them ramping up fiat pairs, because having fiat pairs to crypto is one of the biggest bottlenecks, where right now, besides Gemini and GDAX and Coinbase, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Ethereum, you're pretty much limited to direct fiat to crypto entrances, and then you have to go from those to the alts. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Goldman make a play through Circle into getting an exchange and then having it listed with fiat pairs. And of course, they're going to make sure that they're above board on everything. And on a bit of weird news, so I was actually involved with this ICO last year, CoinDash. They're a dApp built on the Ethereum network that allows you to post your portfolio and your trading strategies, and then you can fast follow and copy other investors' trading strategies that seem to be working. So back in July of last year, their ICO got hacked right at the last second. Basically, someone swapped out the Ethereum address for the token sale and put in their own, resulting in about 37,000 Ethereum tokens being stolen. And what's interesting is back in September, 10,000 of these tokens were returned to CoinDash. And as of a few days ago, it looks like another 20,000 Ethereum were returned to the project. So it's an unusual act of good guy Greg criminal deciding to pay back the money he stole, or at least most of it. He's still keeping 7,000 Ethereum. And it is interesting why a hacker with that much Ethereum would want to return it. And it opens the door to the question of, is it insider trading? Was it an insider job? You know, they're watching the address and they've reported it to the proper authorities. But it's just something of note that's interesting, because a criminal takes money, maybe earns some interest on it, and decides to give it back. So no harm, no foul, I guess. But anyway, take with that what you will. I'm not claiming to know whether it's an inside job or not, just mentioning what I've heard and seen in some of the posts down there. So that's pretty much it. Just a quick hit on what's going on in the industry. If you guys want to see anything new on the channel, or if you have any questions, comments, leave them down in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button if you like what I'm saying.